permeable.
Now, if you could explain to Jay and to our audience, if you have your 4 walls done out of hempcrete and your walls are maybe about 12 inches thick, what is the result for the people that are working within that building or living within that building?
Well, the air quality is greatly enhanced because lime in its pure form needs to absorb carbon dioxide to harden, to calcify, to carbonate, to go back to being a rock. Now, we've got a lime cycle page on our website that shows how limestone starts out as basically calcium carbonate that's been compressed over millions of years, crustaceans, vertebrae, shellfish. That's dug up as a rock, burned, slaked, and turned into powder that we can use for softening the soil in our fields, or using it for building materials. So hydraulic and hydrated lime is the old-fashioned Roman cement. Before Portland cement was ever invented in the late 1900s, what was the Great Wall of China built with? Hydraulic lime and a little bit of hemp.
Well, then tell people about the health impact and air conditioning or not.
Well, with a breathable wall system and a thermal mass system, you don't need all the mechanical heating and air that we currently have. The last house that we did on the mountain in North Carolina, excuse me, 3,500 feet elevation, 130-mile-an-hour wind zone. We reduced the need for mechanical equipment from 8 tons to 2 tons to heat and cool a 3,600 square foot house. In the heat of the summer, and we've had some pretty miserable summers over there with high humidity. This last summer, his total air conditioning bill was $100 for the month.
Because it goes through.
Because it's vapor permeable, because it's regulating the hot and cold from outside to inside.
Now, what about water? Is it water permeable? In other words, if you have a rainstorm, even a horizontal rainstorm, what is that going to do to this material?
Lime is water resistant, water repellent. It's also self-healing, which means that water gets into the lime and the lime starts moving its DNA around, squishing the water out. It's a natural water repellent.
So it would not affect the structural integrity?
It will not affect the structural integrity. In fact, we can even build a structure using wet lumber, because once it's completed and enclosed with the hempcrete, that hempcrete is going to suck out the water and wick it out to the outside atmosphere. So it's definitely a moisture regulator.
Now, suppose, in the case of concrete, like hollow tile, I can drill through it and I can put fasteners into it and hang things and connect it that way. Can I do that with lime? This kind of crete? What do you call it?
Hempcrete. The generic name is hempcrete.
You got to protect it? Is it a protected name?
No. This is the generic name. Hempcrete, Tradical Hempcrete, is the branded name from our partners in the UK. But Hempcrete, Hempcrete, make no mistake, the P is in there, right? Is the generic name that everybody on the globe uses, and everybody knows the name of that. But Jay, you've asked a good question about fasteners. With our hempcrete structure, without the lumber in there, we can hold up to 300 pounds by drilling into that. On the house in the mountain was a great example. The plumbers forgot to put in their 2-inch vent pipe in the bathroom. We took the skill saw, cut that section out, took the claw hammer and pulled out what we needed. The plumbers put the vent pipe in. We mixed up the same stuff that we'd taken out of the wall, mixed it up with a bit more binder, patched up the wall again.
So you can recreate the shape.
We can recreate the shape. We've done circular walls, angled walls, right? And it's so flexible and so versatile that we can change the thickness of it as well. For example, in Florida, where it's really hot, right, and humid, we'd use a 12-inch wall. In Alaska, we'd use a 24-inch wall because we really want to beef up the thermal mass properties. Over here in Hawaii, I think we could get away with probably a 10 to 12-inch wall.
That's thicker than hollow tile, though.
Oh, absolutely.
So it requires more width in order to...
Oh, yes. It's very, very European in feel, but it's very European in look as well. And we like it like that. I mean,
so how do you prepare it then? On one side of this is a smoother side. Looks a little like stucco.
This has been, basically both sides will look like that,
Mm-hmm.
and when we apply an exterior finish to it,
Mhm.
or an interior finish,
Mhm.
again we use lime as a plaster.
But you don't have to.
We don't have to. No, we could leave it looking like that. We could leave it looking raw, right? Or better still, why don't we add a color to that when we're mixing it, and have this nice terracotta or green or
Right
blue,
through.
have it go all the way through. You don't need to put any lime on the outside.
So what are the downsides, actually?
You know what? I've been trying to find one. Jay, I've been trying to find a downside.
Tell
The
about the brewery, and then you can go back to that in a minute. Tell about the brewery and outside London.
The first commercial structure that's been done with Tradical, Hempcrete, which is the UK company's branded product, was about 3 hours northeast of London. This is out in a dismal, cold, undulating area where, if you drive past this building, you miss it if you blink. They've made it very environmentally friendly by building it inside the hollow of the surrounding hills. We used 14-inch walls there. It's a 50,000 square foot warehouse with airlock doors at both ends for the semis to come in and out and pick up the freshly brewed beer that's stored there. These walls maintain a 15 to 16 degrees Celsius temperature, 24/7, 365. The architects saved the owners $800,000 in not having to install mechanical heating and cooling equipment. That translates to £1,000 per week of energy costs.
Tremendous.
Yeah. Not only that, they've had a 75% reduction in health care and absenteeism costs.
Because of the better
Because
environment.
of the indoor air quality. Now, admittedly, a factor of that number is better OSHA conditions, better working conditions, but a majority of that 75% has been in clean air, because lime needs carbon dioxide to recarbonate, to turn itself back into a rock. So every time we exhale, the wall's saying, give me that carbon dioxide, I need it to grow, get hard.
That's great.
Yeah.
This is really natural. So, but the frustrating side of it is that you could grow this, nearby. You could grow it in sufficient quantity to actually build in that community and supply all the building requirements of the community going forward for all kinds of structures, but it's not legal under federal law.
Correct.
So this is a real frustrating problem, it seems like to me.
Actually, once the buildings are constructed in more locations, in more states, they draw a lot of attention, and people begin to realize, wait a minute, this is far superior to what we have, the traditional building material. And that begins to change people's minds. And then they say, well, although the cost is really comparable or comparable, we could lower that cost if we were to be able to grow it. And the bigger benefit, of course, for Hawaii is we would keep our agricultural land in agricultural production.
What a great agricultural product this would be.
Absolutely.
We'd be self-sustaining on construction.
Absolutely.
Everybody would like that.
Well, in other developed countries, they use industrial hemp as a rotational break crop, which means that, let's say a farmer splits up his 900 acres, 300 acres in starch potatoes, and 300 acres in beets, and 300 acres in industrial hemp. Next year, he cycles that over, because the industrial hemp is re-nitrogenizing the soil. The only other green plant to do that is alfalfa. You know that Chernobyl happened back in 1986, wasn't it? 1984, 1986?
Something in there.
They still grow industrial hemp around there to cleanse the soils from the radiation and the toxins in the soil.
Well, and actually the University of Hawaii did research when we had the industrial hemp research project going out in Wahiawa, and they did research there and concluded industrial hemp was the best crop to pull contaminants from the soil.
2 more questions.